Dr. Kabiru Turaki has been elected national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, pledging a new era of internal democracy, even as the party grapples with deep factional divisions and legal battles. Turaki, who won by a landslide with 1,516 votes, vowed to end impunity and suppression of party members. He also pledged to reach out to aggrieved figures like Nyesom Wike, Ayo Fayose, and Samuel Anyanwu, whose expulsion at the convention has sparked fierce backlash. The move comes amid an ongoing crisis, multiple court injunctions, rival factions, and the dissolution of party structures in 5 states, raising serious questions about the PDP's unity. Despite the tension, Oyo local government leaders have backed Turaki's election, calling for discipline and a reset of the party.
Right, well, for more on the concluded PDP convention, we're joined in the studio by Barrister Okechukwu Osuaha. He is the party's Deputy National Legal Advisor. Good morning, Barrister. Welcome to Daybreak today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get straight into it. Some of the feedback so far from the just concluded convention. Former Governor Sule Lamido says it was just a mere gathering of friends. Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike says that some people decided to start Dirty December early. Ultimately, all of this is making reference to the point that any resolution made at this convention cannot stand the test of law, specifically because INEC was absent. As a barrister, what is your take on this position?
That's the statement that was made by the former governor of Ekiti State and even the minister for FCT is correct. As far as I'm concerned, in the eyes of the law, there was no convention. No convention took place in Ibadan. Because let me explain and let me clarify issues in this particular forum. We are in Nigeria, we are practicing democracy. And we cannot afford to toy with democracy because democracy thrives by the rule of law. We are not in an anarchist state. Nigeria is not a banana republic. The beauty of democracy is that there must be extant laws and citizens must be guided by the laws. And that's why the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, provided for hierarchy of courts, how you can that people must obey courts. There was planned convention. And at that point in time, the court, people approach court for being excluded and also disobedience to the court rule of law and then violation of extant laws of the land. And the Federal High Court made granted a judgment, and the judgment was unambiguous and was so clear, saying that there should be no convention, that the convention should be put on hold, and the parties should go and handle their affairs and put their house in order. After that particular judgment, there was another judgment too. The former governor of the Jigawa State, Alhaji Sule Lamido, approached the Federal High Court again, and the court gave judgment and said, no, you cannot exclude this man from participating, from buying form, from being part of that convention. Go back and do it properly. And these things were the clear judgments of the Federal High Court. And then the next thing we had that people went to Oyo State High Court in Ibadan and obtained an interim order. Interim order, that's when you say interim order. Ex parte order means it's interim. It has expiration time of 7 days. They even went and extended it and said they are going along with that convention. How can it be? Why did we have constitution? The Constitution of the Federal Republic provided for hierarchy of courts. Section 249 provided for Federal High Court. Section 270 provided for state high courts. And even Section 237 provided for appeal court. Even in Section 240 provided that is subject to the provisions of this constitution that every appeal from the Federal High Court or state high court should be to the appeal court. And not when you have a matter in the Federal High Court, you rush to another court of coordinate jurisdiction, state high court, and obtain an interim order to set aside a judgment of a competent court of jurisdiction. It's an aberration. We, the politicians, are beginning to see that we are abusing the court processes. And that's why it is wrong. That convention was put on hold. And they went and said they had a convention. And let me just briefly, let me explain. And there's a electoral act and the guideline of INEC that provided that INEC must observe everything that the political party does in Nigeria. INEC is the regulatory body of political parties in Nigeria, and they should observe and regulate anything that the party does. And INEC was not present in that convention. That puts it in the eyes of the law. What they did there was just a gathering of friends and associates. It was not a convention. Thank you so much.
Okay, so you touched already on a little bit on INEC and the legality, but I want to go more into how you respond to how INEC has boycotted this convention in legal concerns.
Okay.
Can you give your response on that?
Yes, because INEC being a federal institution, like I mentioned ab initio, we are in a democracy, and democracy must try by the law. INEC being a federal institution and an agency that regulates political party, was obeying the court judgment, because the Federal High Court has given judgment. Even the last judgment of the Federal High Court concerning that governor of Jigawa State came Friday evening, just before that convention on Saturday. So INEC was, the onus lied on INEC to obey that order, and he obeyed it, and did not attend, and did not observe it. That makes it invalid. That convention was invalid to the extent of the law. So whoever said they had a convention was, let me just guide us properly. When that controversy was raging on, the Board of Trustees, constituted what they call the Reconciliatory Committee, made up of eminent personalities, and said they should go and look into this matter. They went and consulted extensively and came up with a report and said that they are advising and recommending that convention should not go on. In fact, that they recommended that there should be a caretaker committee in support of what that court has given a judgment. So why should somebody say that he has conducted and had? And let me tell you, even in that convention, there was even more than 23 states did not attend. Their delegates were not there, because part of that issues that were formulated and then addressed by the court was non-conduct. They were not able to conduct congresses in all the various states of the federation. That will tantamount of excluding and disenfranchising a lot of people. Delegates did not attend in that convention. So that's what I'll tell you.
Okay, a couple of things.
Okay.
You did mention that there was a caretaker committee that was suggested.
Yes.
But also
the Reconciliatory Committee,
yes,
constituted by the Board of Trustees of the party.
Okay, but also the Reconciliation Committee also suggested that a couple of people be expelled from the party because they have been involved in anti-party activities that is damaging the party. That's one. Then number two, you're losing members and governors in droves. There was initially Bayelsa State. So no, Bayelsa is the latest. There's Bayelsa, Enugu, Delta, and Akwa Ibom State.
Taraba State is leaving.
Yes. And Taraba State is also leaving.
Very
so
embarrassing.
Can you speak to that and how damaging this is to a party that is struggling to find its bearing?
It is very unfortunate. I will tell you, moderator, because it's embarrassing, and because if you look at those forefathers who actually established and formed this PDP, the party, they had their aim and objective, and they had that vision, and they were patriotic, because who were exiting from there was that disastrous regime of the military, that dictatorship, and they came together and formed PDP with the idea that it's a party that brings, that will touch on the lives of the people. But the way people now go about things, because personal interest is now being overridden the collective interest of the people. So you see that, and that brings us to leadership. There was failure of leadership. The last administration of that former chairman, Ambassador Damagu, was a total failure. When the court gave judgment, I expected him to call stakeholders. Like he has asked the Board of Trustees, they went into reconciliation. They should have negotiated and reconciled all the parties in accordance with the constitution of the party. Because let me just tell you, people will always refer to Supreme Court judgment when they say that Supreme Court said every matter that borders on the party should be an internal affairs of the party. But I read that judgment. The Supreme Court said parties should do their affairs or handle their affairs internally in accordance with the constitution and of the party, the rules and regulations of the party, and the other extant laws of the land, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and then the Electoral Act. He didn't say you should go and do things unlawfully and arbitrarily. You should be excluding people and disenfranchising people. let me tell you, if you need to interpret that particular judgment of the Supreme Court, does it mean, I will ask you, a moderator, that if there's a meeting of the party and there's an issue and there are people, that arises and people, that will not cause fight in that meeting, people will fight and maybe somebody is killed, somebody dies, and then the court and the law will say we are overlooking this. It's an internal affairs of the party. So that's why the court said, if you're doing things, do it in accordance with the rules and the regulations and the extant laws of the land. Are you hearing me? So these are things that warranted that make people to approach the court.
Barrister, if I may just interject, you said something quite interesting just as you were making your statements. You said the former chairman, Ambassador Damagum, when he was chairman. Does this mean you recognize the new chairman, that is Turaki? Are you recognizing, because you referred to Damagum as the former chairman. So does this mean that those appointments and elections that were made are those that you recognize? Does PDP have a new chairman?
To answer to your question, before that purported convention, there was an emergency NWC meeting. There was the notice was issued by the National Secretary, Senator Anyanwu, in accordance with the Constitution of the party, Section 36. And they met and they suspended that former national chairman and some other members of the NWC. So whatever they did, like I say, is a carried. Just like as I told you, the moderator by my side here has said that they even purportedly claim that there were suspensions or expulsions. How can you do? There's a process in law in a party. There are organs of the party that takes actions and decisions. One of them, major organ, is the INEC, National Executive Committee. Every other decision taken by the NWC, you bring it to NEC to ratify. There was no time. The last NEC meeting, that's the 102 meeting, I'm a member of NEC. I attended it. All the resolutions that were taken there, I'm aware of it. There was no time we say we are expelling anybody. There was no time. Even this disciplinary committee headed by Chief Tom Ikimi, the report, there was no report they brought. Where did you? Because if you are alleged that somebody committed an offense in law, if you inform that person, you write him and inform him about the offense and bring him before a disciplinary committee and try him, give him fair hearing.
So are you saying all these people are not aware of the fact that they were involved in anti-party activities? All these people, you're saying they weren't aware?
I said there was no organ of the party that discussed.
I mean, because the whole...
and that was why if you see two governors, even those who were members of that convention committee, like Governor of Adamawa Fintri, and then even Governor of Plateau State, have came out to disassociate themselves with that expulsion. They said that there was no time this thing was brought to, even before the Governors Forum. They didn't discuss it. You cannot just come into a platform and you say, I have expelled this person, I have expelled. There are organs and the process in law. That's what I tell you.
Okay, Barrister, ahead of 2027, what message do you think this controversial convention sends? What type of message do you think it sends with all of this internal disputes that are weakening the PDP's image? What do you think lies for 2027?
Thank you so much. It's a pertinent question because Nigerians look up to PDP as an alternative political party.
Right.
In fact, I was somewhere the other day, a friend of mine who is a bank manager called me and say, okay, please, you're my good friend. You people should do everything to preserve this our party, PDP. It's unfortunate, but there's still chance. There's still chance. That's why I say people should not be doing things in their whims and caprices. Let us be guided by the rules, the laws. In Section 2 of our Constitution of the party, provided that all members and organs of this party must be binded by the provisions of this Constitution. We have equally the ground norm laws of Nigeria, that's the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. People should look at all the guidelines before you do something. But there's still need for reconciliation. But that reconciliation should be a give and take. No, people should esteem that their ego. You know what is our problem in Nigeria is egocentrism. People try to show that you're too much. Why don't you come down and mellow down and let us work together and put this party in order so that we can still rescue Nigeria from this catastrophic government of APC.
Barrister, it's obviously clear that we have not heard the last of this saga. It looks like there's going to be more court cases, more judgments. Will they be followed is the big question. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for your input on this conversation. I'm Vimbai.
Let us go, because the court will hear it and then determine the extent of the
okay.
position of the law.
Well, you know, some will say our democracy
much.
shouldn't be playing out in the courtrooms. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm Vambai Mutini Young signing out from Lagos.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm Constance Ikoku. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak today.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.